Hey everyone, welcome back and thank you for joining me. This is actually a very special bonus episode. I filmed a reaction video of my very good friend, Sara Spadacene, who also happens to be the star of my latest short film that I wrote and directed called Big Break, which you can see right back there. We just released the film this past week, and I wanted to show Sara before we did the initial release, so get her reaction on camera for the very first time that she watched it in full. Everything just completely done since it had been about a year since we had filmed it. And so I'm so excited to share not only her reaction of watching it for the first time, but also our discussion that followed, where we talk about the process of making the short film. We talk about her preparation for the actual role. We talk about the challenges of the role and the different elements of creating the world that we created. And I'm so excited for you to check out the discussion. I'll make sure to also link the completed film in the description below. So check out Sara's reaction video and our discussion after. And I'm so excited to be able to present to you Big Break. I hope you enjoy. All right, hey everyone. So I have Sara Spadacene here, who is the star of Big Break, playing the main character of Riley. So this is the very first time Sara's gonna watch the film completed in full with sound and color. So we're gonna film her reaction. Sara, how do you feel right now?
I'm so excited. This has been like a year in the making, so I'm excited to see the final product.
I'm so excited to show you. Sara's great in this, so I can't wait to see what she thinks. I hope you like it.
I'm sure I will.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm so ready. Let's do
it. All right,
it.
I'm gonna cue it up.
All right.
We're gonna play it, and it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, mister. I've never asked for much. And when I have, you haven't ever listened. You make me feel useless. Completely useless. Do you know... Fuck.
Ooh, I'm gonna cry.
Do you know how it feels to be invisible? I didn't think so. Shit! Shit! Hey! Do you? Hey, mister.
Whoa.
Tonal shift.
Show him who's boss, okay?
All right.
Does that make sense?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Your objective here is to
Makes you laugh every
intimidate him, force him to listen, make your boss hear you, and prove to him that you're not fucking around anymore. Cynthia is now a badass, and she is not going to take his bullshit anymore.
Okay.
Yeah?
No.
Riley, what is up? Come on.
I guess I'm just feeling that...
Don't feel.
Okay, well, I think that...
Don't think. Just be. That's the best acting advice I ever heard. Just clear your mind and Let's go. Yeah? Yeah? All right. All right, everybody, get your shit together. We're going for a take.
I miss him so much.
Let's make some movie
He'll be back.
magic, baby. Camera rolls. Sound speed. Slate.
Scene 1, A, take 1. Scene 1, take A.
And action.
Hey there, honey bun. You got my coffee?
Hey, mister, I've never asked for much. And when I have, you haven't ever listened. You... Shit. I'm so sorry.
Cut. Clear that mind, okay? And relax and do something with your hands, okay? All right, everybody, next take. Let's get the clapperboard in there and watch the focus. Colin, you were a little soft.
That's my favorite.
Scene 1, take 2.
Sean's reactions.
I know, he's so good.
And action.
Hey there, Toots. Where's the Joe?
You... Coffee?
Cut! Riley, what the hell's the matter with you?
I'm fine. I got it. I got this. I got this.
Look, I know you can nail this scene, okay? And we're just gonna keep running it until you do, okay? I know you're nervous, but just dig deep and push through. Yeah? Okay.
Oh God.
Clapperboard.
Scene 1A, take 3.
Action.
Scene 1A, take 20.
Yikes.
Come on, people. We're gonna keep running it until Riley gets it right, okay? Riley, I just need you to come in with some energy, okay? Get some fucking coffee if you have to. Just fucking do it. Do a fucking line of coke. I don't give a shit at this point. We run this 19 times. I know you know what I am asking for. I just need you to be. What is going on?
I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I don't even like acting. In fact, I hate acting. I hate this costume. I hate these lines. I hate this script, and I hate you. What the fuck am I even doing here anyway? And none of you fuckers want to be here. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. You two don't want to be here. You definitely don't want to be here. This guy is 5'4". No one could find an apple box.
Riley! Snap out of it! Okay, we are an hour behind schedule already. You are an actor. Do your fucking job and stop being a diva. Do whatever you gotta do, all right? Take a moment. Papa Zanny, I don't care.
No! 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 I do not want to run lines ever again for the rest of my life. I hate this, and I hate you. Fuck you.
Yow. Poor sound, yeah.
Well, action.
Hey, mister, I've never asked for much. And when I have, you haven't ever listened. You make me feel useless, completely useless. Do you know how it feels to be invisible? That's right. I didn't think so. So, starting today, I will not feel invisible any longer, and I will not stand for it. There's your fucking coffee. I quit.
Cut! Riley, Riley, that was fucking beautiful. I got chills. I knew you could do it. Moving on! What were you channeling?
Can you play it again?
Hell yeah, that take was money.
Sure, took long enough, but I knew I could get her there. I can play it. I've never seen anything like it.
Jordan. Oh my God.
Did you like it?
I fucking loved it.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
really, I want to watch it again. I don't know if we're allowed to. That was amazing.
Yeah? You
Honest
liked
to
it?
God. I'm like in shock. That really came together
Thank you.
so well.
Thank you.
You did such a good, you did an amazing job with this.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you,
it
Sarah.
really is. I mean, just having seen it from its,
Yeah.
the original cut
Totally. The
to not the
Inception.
original cut, but like, very like
Oh,
first
yeah,
like rough
those
cut,
very-
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and then now
Yeah.
seeing this, like, I mean, that's Oscar worthy, baby.
Oh,
You better
thank
put that in the
you.
Oscars,
Thank
baby.
you.
No,
Yeah,
that was like very, 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 very good.
Thank you. Thank
Especially,
you so much.
like, the
I'm so glad that you like it.
I love
'cause-
it. I'm
mean,
so proud of that.
Thank you. I'm so proud of it too.
No, I'm
and
like-
I really hope that will be what just busts you into the stratosphere. I mean, truly, because I think you deserve it. And my favorite part about the whole film, regardless of all the other effects or the lighting or the sound, is the performances. I mean, we don't care about anything else going on unless we are rooted in, your plight and your anxiety and the overcoming of it, and then that extra little supernatural element. I think we care, from the very beginning.
Also, just like for those of you, and maybe we'll talk about this later, but this started because you texted me. You were like, "What do you want to like write something about?" And I
Yeah.
kind of like, Jordan was, we worked together on a couple projects and we work well together. And I don't know, I feel like I kind of gave Jordan a couple like half thought out answers, and then one day I kind of texted him out of the blue, and I was like, because I had really thought about it, and I was talking about like miscongeniality actually.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember this? And I just was like,
yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
and I
yeah.
had said like, I mean, these two might not seem related, miscongeniality and this, but I mentioned to him like my own, anxieties and stuff and my own whatever. And then from that has come this. And I just feel like even in its scariness that, it's very relatable.
For sure. I mean, that's one of the things that I was really big on for this was whether or not you're an actor or you're just a director, you're creative in the film world. There's so much pressure. There's so much anxiety that happens because there are so many people vying for these jobs, and one little mistake could cost you. And a lot of times this is our dream. I mean, to come out and move to LA, to be either an actor, to be a director. And I think that was something I was musing on with this, was the extreme pressure that falls on you when you're called to perform, especially when you're at your worst. And that's very much something I wanted people who have been through that to be like, yes, it is crazy, and it's sometimes it's detrimental to our physical and mental health. The sheer amount of pressure that, I mean, we put on ourselves, but
Right.
also the industry puts on us to perform at all times. Otherwise, they'll find somebody else, So I think,
You're always replaceable.
yeah, it's like that anxiety is, I think, something I constantly.
That was
think
so
about, too.
good.
Thank you. I'm so glad you liked it.
I'm like, I'm really not that I knew it was gonna, I just like kind of didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
You know, and then only because also Jordan had given me updates like as time, you know, he'd be like, oh, we just finished sound, I mean, the music really elevated that.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously not CGI, but
the visual effects.
The visual effects,
yeah,
like, I mean,
which came a lot later in the process too, and stuff like the 2D animation of when Sarah's face just completely goes into that, you know, 2D. It almost looks like hand-drawn animation.
Yeah.
That was such a late in the game.
What made you want to do that?
It was, to be honest with you, it was one of those things where I had the image just pop into my brain one day when once we had finished shooting, and I just thought, well, if I'm already going to bring on a VFX vendor to do some VFX on other shots, why don't I just try to see if they can pull that off? And to be honest, I didn't think they were going to be able to pull it off. And I'm so proud of that shot because it was such a I can't even explain why it came into that aesthetic, but I got the image of Snow White in my head, the old, the old 30s Snow White, the Disney Snow White, and I ever since I thought about that, I was like, wouldn't that be cool if we just go completely bananas for a second? And
it was.
Deviate. Like that's the only shot that's like that in the film, and it's so out there, and I was just like, let's just try it because
out there, but it also fits what's happening.
Yeah, it's almost like the moment just goes so bananas. It's like, in your head sometimes when you're having a panic attack, which is what that moment's simulating. I mean, anything and everything comes through, and it feels uncontrollable. But they really nailed that Snow White reference that I thought, and partly because I worked in animation for quite a while recently. I think it was a cool way to bridge the gap of my live action experience with the animation world that I'm much newer to, and what you could do with that, when you combine the two.
That was so good. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And I'm not just saying that because it's us. Like, I genuinely, I feel like the story flowed well. There was, oh man, that was.
Thank you.
I am so excited to share that. That was awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate hearing that, especially because so much of the really tedious elements of making this really wasn't the shoot or the pre-production. It was post-production.
Always.
It's where you have so many options. You labor over every frame. I mean, even just getting the VFX right, the sound right.
Jordan's also a perfectionist. If you don't know Jordan, we are different in that way. But that's why what he does looks the way that it does.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I think that's one big thing too that I would just say if anyone is kind of looking to get into filmmaking is really take your time in post-production, especially because I think sometimes we feel like, oh, we're so excited to finish, we just want to get it out there. But if you take the time, what happens if you take months and months instead of weeks is you develop new revelations. So for example, like,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like you look at a cut and then a week later you come back to the cut and you go, wait, what if we did this? And you usually improve the cut, or you cut things down. You just, you iron away until you're like, no, I shouldn't change it anymore. It's going to make it worse at that point.
Totally. And I also noticed in the edits that I had seen earlier, when I come back into the dressing room after having the break, you had the shot of me like slamming the door and kind of falling to the ground.
Yeah,
but as an actor, like watching myself, it's, painful sometimes to watch yourself. And I remember watching that. I hated that shot, not because of you, but me. I felt like I was overacting. I was thrilled to see that you got it. So
thank you.
No, that was amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see it. That was really good.
Thank you. Okay, so we just finished watching Big Break. It was the first time Sarah had ever seen it complete. So Sarah, I just want to get your first initial reactions. What do you think?
Okay, first initial reactions, so impressed. And I am not just saying that because it's like me and Jordan. I watch a lot of movies, and I watch a lot of TV, and I watch a lot of YouTube, and I watch a lot of TikTok, and I watch a lot of Instagram. We live in a very digital age where you lose interest quickly. And so my big takeaway from this was I didn't lose interest once. If anything, I was like, oh my God, I want there to be more. And like when we were done, I was like, can we watch it again? I was just so very genuinely impressed with all of the work that you've put into it. And the sound and the editing and the special effects and your script and your directing, like, and all the other actors. Like, honestly, I was very proud of myself. Like, it really
definitely should be.
Yeah, but like, acting is a editor's media. Like, it's
for sure.
If in the wrong hands, your performance can go from like a C+ to an A+. And I felt like you gave me the opportunity to be shown in a very positive, impressive light, and I'm like extremely grateful.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wanted to write something for Sara, knowing Sara for a lot of years, but
so many years.
but also just seeing Sara's capability as an actress, and for me, one of my favorite things to do as a writer director is cast people against type or what they conventionally would normally go for roles. And I know that you are absolutely stellar in the comedy world, but I knew that you could do something that was much more dramatic with elements of comedy still kind of weaved in there and a little bit of horror as well. So I was just so excited to write something that could allow Sara to shine and really showcase your range that you have. And I think this was a long time coming, so it was absolutely perfect. I'm so glad that you were willing to do it, and I mean, you really stepped up to the plate with this. And I also just want to highlight, this was a tougher role because we had things like the old transatlantic accent from the 1950s, which is a very difficult accent. And I remember we workshopped that to get it to be a very specific tone and cadence of voice. So there's that, but there also had to be the humor component with the timing. There had to be the dramatic chops. There had to be emotion, anger, and crying. It's like all these things are happening throughout the course of this project. So I definitely want to give you the props that you manage such a wide range of challenges so elegantly. So,
well, thanks, congrats. Jordan. I mean, I was in good hands, first and foremost. And also, doing something like this, at least for me, is a dream come true. Like, it really was an opportunity to kind of exactly what you're saying, play in all different genres and, test your ability in real time on the day of, in front of a camera, like literally exactly what this is about. And yeah, I had so much fun playing in this world. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to say on that, but you crushed.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I often, kind of what we're talking about too is, I think about this more and more, and that I write and direct at more years, I'm really conscious of the responsibility too that we have, not only with what narratives we're telling and why, but the opportunities we can create, especially as a writer. And if you're a director, you really have a lot more say in that casting process, right? So for me, I think there is a responsibility there to write those roles, create roles, give people chances who truly deserve them, especially if people aren't getting those opportunities that they truly deserve, right? Like, so for me, I think this was definitely something where I just went, hey, Sara deserves this opportunity. I am so grateful I was able to create it for you, but also just to have another project to create. And I think it to be honest, it went way beyond what I even thought it was going to be.
Really?
Yeah, because when we wrote it, we thought it was going to be a lot more scaled down. And, just full disclosure, the original budget was going to be like $6-7K. It ballooned into like $15K, probably more. But I realized we had to do this right. Like once you're like, 2 feet in the pool, you're like, I can't just sit here. I have to jump in all the way. Otherwise it's a disservice to everybody, but also the story. So yeah, I'm just really excited what we were able to create and also discover and kind of excavate along the way. And there were so many cool little improv moments that Sara added, or Sara and Heather, who plays Allison, the director.
Shout out Heather.
Yeah, and it was just so cool to have that. And I'm glad we at least got one of them in there with the Apple box line was completely Sara. That was totally improv, and it was so funny.
No one knew if they should laugh. No, and we love you, Dan, but no one knew if they should laugh on set when I said it. Everyone was like, but it made the cut, and
that's true.
And also is like it was of the time. People still use Apple boxes now, but
that's true. So what what are some of the things that you were most surprised by upon watching it that really took you off guard?
Great question. I think I would say the beginning, I was kind of telling Jordan this earlier, like the more I get into my film and TV career and the more jobs I book and the more auditions I do and the more I'm like in front of the camera, you know, you get to know yourself in a way that is very intimate to like who you are, if that makes sense, you know? And so I was a little nervous because I feel like this last year I've just been like in, you know, self-tape classes and I've worked more on shows and I feel like this film was kind of like the beginning of that momentum for me. So I personally was like a little nervous to see myself because I feel like I've just gotten better this year. Like I feel like I just get it a little bit more. I was saying to Jordan before, I was like, I wish I could have shot this again now, like knowing what I know now.
Do you still feel that way?
No. So like, no, like,
good.
So on a personal note, you know, for me as an actor watching myself in my performance, you know, sometimes it's like god awful watching yourself, but I was, and again, this is a testament to your editing and your directing and your writing and all of that, but I was impressed with how like nothing, even though there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of like heightened stakes in this, I didn't feel like anything seemed like, oh my God, like you're like, you know, because sometimes we feel that way when we watch performances on screen. You're almost like backing away because it feels like too much.
Yeah.
But I did not feel that way with this. Obviously, the visual effects in this are next level, and the music was amazing. The sound was amazing, and then you know, like I felt like what you did was also you created a world where even if people didn't have like as many lines or whatever, everybody was unique and like told the story within their context.
Yeah.
And
wow, thank you.
Well, even like the sound guy, you know, like it's like every time you just kind of like got to know everybody in a short amount of time, which is a testament to like the storytelling of it all. So that's a long-winded way of me saying I was surprised at, you know, sometimes people show you projects and you're like, that was really good. Like, that was so good. But, you know, I'm like, no, that was really good. I can't wait for people to see this.
But yeah, I appreciate you saying that too. One of your last comments about even tertiary or secondary characters still feeling like they have a
small
role.
parts.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
No small part. My favorite films can always still bring you into the characters that are not the major roles, but still in the story. You still get a sense of who they are. You get a tease of there's life there. It's not just like, oh, they're supporting the lead, right? Or the leads. And I always hate when projects do that. And I've always worked hard to try to just say, can we give a little extra, even if it's like a second of screen time, to one of the supporting characters, but we still get a little peek behind the curtain into what's going on with their life. To me, that's so fascinating, and it often only takes that extra couple seconds to do. So I really appreciate hearing that.
Yeah.
My favorite movies always do that. I always would look at the movies and go, why do I like this movie? It's because I like every character.
Yep.
Not just the lead. Like every character is interesting. Whether I like them or not, it changes. It depends, but I find them interesting. I would want to watch them, and I think if you can create that where people are captivated, they need to watch this person, even if it's supporting roles, that just makes you all around enjoy every part of the project on multiple levels, you know? So, well, I'm happy you got that. It was funny because there was a couple cuts that I added much later in the later editing stages, where there's cuts to the reactions of the crew members when the director's going even more intense on Riley. And I'm so happy that we added those in, because I wasn't going to add those in. We shot those and I was like, oh, we wasted time shooting those. Turns out we actually needed those. And I feel like they added so much to what was going on with the rest of the people and the crew there. And I think that also helps you build a much more realistic world that feels lived in, right? Because you're like, oh, I get, everybody feels like they're part of the same world.
Well, and it makes like the mental breakdown make more sense, because you can feel that it's not just Heather's character annoyed with Riley. It was like literally everybody on set is annoyed with this girl. Yeah. And that is debilitating. Yeah. And so it just, again, it like when you build the world, you help tell the story better.
Yeah. I think in some ways too, what's kind of interesting is the reactions we see of the crew. I think they're also, they're probably annoyed with Riley, but they're also annoyed with Allison.
Right.
And in that way, it almost gives us as an audience that much more empathy for Riley, because we get that, oh, they're kind of feeling for her too. And in a way, it's almost by proxy, we feel that much worse for her, you know?
Totally. And as like audience, you know, anyone watching this, it's like, you know, all we can do, our job is, you know, what we just did. And then everything else is left up to interpretation. You know, audience members watching, maybe they are more annoyed with, like, I remember I showed a friend one of the rough cuts of, this was a while ago, but like one of the first cuts, and her reaction was like, wow, that director is like so annoying, like, you know, you know, she and now in a way that I think is intended, not you know, not from an acting standpoint, you know, but she was like, oh my God, like it was so much, but you know, that's kind of like the beautiful thing of art. It's like you make the thing and then the audience takes what they can from what you've made. Totally.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the best parts about it is you just, people go, yeah, even if it's just a small piece that they can relate to, you know, that's definitely what I was going for. And there's kind of the funny meta level too of, you know, it wasn't lost on us when we were on the day shooting. We have, you know, a fake crew, like all these actors playing crew members, and then we have a real crew, and we're all in the same space shooting the project. And it wasn't lost on me the comedy from that too, of like, you know, who's the real sound guy, who's the, you know, so that, I mean, that to me was actually kind of fun, because in a way, these kinds of projects that almost critique the industry, it's because we love the industry, you know?
Of course,
it's always a love letter to what we do, and we know that it's hard, but that's why we do it, you know.
It's such a love letter.
It is. It really is a love letter to, you know, to the acting industry, to film, to directing. So I do want to ask you about prepping for the role. What were some of the biggest challenges, but also what were some of the things that you personally did as an actor when you were preparing for the role before we actually got to the shoot?
Well, I guess, you know, we touched upon the accent part, which we worked together. And for something like this that is like so emotional and so filled with life, and based on like my own personal life and my own anxieties and something very close to home, a lot of it was just like imagining circumstances, like the way that I would like prep for an audition versus like showing up to set is very different. And so for like something like this, for an audition, for example, like a lot of, for me, it's like you kind of just like connect the thoughts, like why, you know, like what thought leads into this, but when you're actually like on the job, you take that away and you just like, you create the world in your head, and you create, you know, okay, what did my morning look like before coming to set in the context of this film? Did I sleep the night before? Did I have a panic attack the night before? You create imaginary circumstances within the world, and I think I tried to do that for every single scene. And also I imagined, you know, for this, we didn't really like ever talk about this, but for this, I imagined, you know, like I was a child star, and this is, cool. Yeah, this is like, now I'm kind of like prime of my career, and I'm not getting it, and this is still how I'm being talked to, and did I have a relationship with Allison at all? Like,
It's really cool to hear that, because I mean, these are things that I don't think a general audience would ever kind of know, and obviously they don't make their way into what you see in the final film. They're informed by it, but that's super cool to hear. It's like, but then, there's all this inner life that's going on behind the role, you know?
And then the last thing I want to say on that is like, and letting it go.
Yeah.
Because then you just show up and you play.
Yeah, for sure.
Because what's most meta to me about this is like, you know, we say like with acting, like it's hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. And because you do, like, and you know, you can't do anything without your crew. Crew is everything. But, you know, it's their responsibility to get the shot, set everything up, and then like they want you gotta like get your takes, and we move on. And so I definitely, like, to me, that was also like meta of the day of just being like, okay, like I have these big emotional, like, oh God, I hope I do it. But again, I was in very good hands, and Jordan is a very specific and director, and he like knows what he wants. So there's confidence in when he does get the shot and he says move on, like, you know that you got it.
Yeah, it's like there's that trust there of, I don't have to judge my own performance or worry like, are they actually going to monitor it, you know, and I can confidently just sink into it, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's a testament to all the actors and your abilities too, because on the day we often only had like 2, maybe 3 takes for a lot of those shots, especially the emotional ones, because we just had such a tight schedule. So I think that was also impressive, is, we had 1 or 2 and then we had to move on. So I think what's amazing is I genuinely feel like we got every single thing I wanted. And I don't look at the film at all and go, oh, I wish we would have gotten this or that. Like, I feel like we got it, and I'm very proud of that.
We definitely got it.
Yeah, the only one we did 10 takes on was the big walking shot, but I'm glad we did that.
Oh yeah, we did.
And I almost here's another thing I'll just super quickly say, it's maybe a little bit of a tangent, but there were a couple people on the set who were like, do we need to get this shot? It's like taking up so much. And I was like, no, we need to get it, because I know if we get it right, I'm going to be so proud that we did. And it's still one of my favorite shots in the whole film. And I think it adequately connects, Riley from the dressing room to the set. And it also establishes those other characters. Like, we see the sound guy, we see the other actor, her scene partner. We just kind of get a feel of what is the world she's literally walking into,
right? And
figuratively. So I think that's why sometimes you just have to stick to your guns and say, I'm the author of this. I understand. I have to just, I have to go with that.
And it's a beautiful shot. Like I did like literally cry when watching it, and that brought tears to my eyes just with the music and this, it's like, and when you take, and that's such an example of like, when you take your time, you can tell a story visually with no words. Like and you did that. Like, I don't know. It's
Thank you. That part's such a dramatic tonal shift, right? It's like the intensity of the horror in the dressing room, and then it's like fairy tale.
Yeah.
And that was what I told the composer. I said, I would like this music as we lead into that walking shot to feel like a fairy tale, because it's the one time we're like, okay, maybe she can get it back together, like she's gonna do okay, she's gonna be okay, and then it sort of falls off the rails again, but like
Slightly.
that was kind of what I wanted, and I'm happy it was such a tonal shift musically, but also emotionally too, in that moment. So yeah, real quick, I just want to ask you about the transatlantic accent. What were the biggest challenges for you in doing that accent, since it was such a specific tone of how the voice sounds?
To me, it was an exciting challenge because I like old movies and I like old film, and it was an opportunity to kind of like delve into that side of myself. I really went back and watched a lot of Marilyn Monroe and Breakfast at Tiffany's, and like I wanted, and I like accents. I mean, I'm not like the most amazing. There's people who do it way better than me, but it was such a challenge, and it was such a welcome challenge, because that's not always like asked of me as an actor, and kind of what you're speaking on, like casting outside of type. So I would say the challenge of it is just getting it right. I mean, I know that that's probably a silly answer, but there's a lot of like history with that, and like learning where and why the transatlantic accent happened. And kind of honoring, that point of cinema and time of itself. But we worked it. I mean, we met like a couple of times, and there were moments when I was like, Jordan, I'm doing it. And he was like, it's not right.
Yeah, do you remember? Perhaps the funniest part was me, and definitely not being an actor. There were a couple times where I think we exchanged voice memos where you asked me, you just said, hey, could you just like give me an idea of the intonation, the stops and starts, just so you were aware of how the cadence mostly. And so I actually recorded myself doing the lines with the cadence. It sounds so horrible, but it's kind of funny that's how we workshopped it. And I think one of the most helpful things we did do was we did a couple virtual rehearsals before the first day of shooting, and that ended up being such a great idea that you suggested. So I definitely recommend doing that if you have a very specific accent or dialect that you're trying to nail, if it's that specific.
And I will also say too, no, it was funny, but it was great. No, I'm not an actor who's like, don't give me a line reading. Sometimes for me, personally, it's easier to work big picture out. Like if you have an idea of how you want it to sound, well, I can find it in your way, and then I can do my work with that. I don't need to always, it has to come from me, especially with something like that where you did hear it a specific way. And thank God we did work it that way, because it sounds a certain way in the final edit. And it, again, like, it all goes back to like the story and telling the story. Are you honoring the story? So yeah.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about that, because I think sometimes, I mean, from me, especially the way I came up studying directing, there is a lot of this knowledge out there that says like line readings are the devil to directing, and I do genuinely mostly abide by that and understand that. But I think you're right. Sometimes there's very specific moments where, if the actor and the director have had that conversation where the actor's cool with it and they're requesting it, sometimes I think it makes it more efficient. It makes it faster.
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially if you're on the day and you're like, just give it to me. Like, I think sometimes that's an okay solution if it gets you what you ultimately need for the end product, you know? So I think it's cool we're talking about this, because some of other directors out there might roast me for saying that, but
actors will probably roast me, but that,
yeah, but I think it's okay, because if both parties are comfortable with it and it gets you what you need, I don't think it's the end of the world, as long as you're not doing it like the whole way through. Like,
sure,
that would probably be annoying. But
I think sometimes there's just like a disconnect between like a director's verbiage and an actor's verbiage, you know? And so that's where I think it comes into where it becomes like perhaps a problem, for lack of a better word. It's because it's like, you know, from an actor's standpoint, like, I think it's my job and it's my responsibility to like interpret what you're saying into like my own language, because I am aware that like you're not thinking just from like, you know, in the old days there was the director that only directed the actor, you know, and it's like now you go on set and for this, for example, you wrote it, you're directing it, you have, you know, you're talking to everybody, it's like your day's big, and so it's like I can understand that you're looking around at a lot of different things and you're focused on a lot of different things. And again, we have that trust, like, if, you know, so you telling me like, hey, Sarah, I just need it to like sound like this. With something like that, it wouldn't bother me. There's probably a circumstance, I'm sure, somewhere where it would maybe more in like a theater context. But like, again, I kind of understand TV and film a little bit more now. And it's like, it is so much more about efficiency, and like actors love to take their time, myself included. And, you know, anyway. Again, it goes back to the big picture. What's the story? What's the story? What's the story?
For sure. Well, Sarah, this was absolutely amazing. I'm so proud of your performance and what you did. And everybody, please cast her. She's amazing. And what do you have next going on for you and your career? Do you have any upcoming projects? Are you in the works on anything that you're able to share?
Great question, Jordan. No, I've had a good year so far. I did CSI Vegas earlier this year.
Heck yeah.
And then I just booked my first recurring role on a TV show that I don't think I can say yet, but I'm in 2 episodes. Okay. And it will be on Hulu in the summer, which I'm very proud of, because that feels like a milestone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then, yeah, so those are the 2 things. I just had a call back for a movie that would film in Nashville in June,
nice.
Which I hope I get.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers
Seriously.
crossed.
Yes.
But, you know, if you're still thinking about it, you probably didn't get it. So I need to drop it. And yeah, I have my own production company as well. We're called Argyle Gargoyle Sketch Comedy. Follow us on YouTube. And honestly, I can't wait to promote the F out of this.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, this will be being released super soon, and we'll make sure to link all of Sarah's info, but also Argyle.
Nate, we've thought about it.
Argyle
Gargoyle.
Yeah,
that's us, babes.
We'll be sure to link all their info in the description below, so you could check out all their awesome stuff and see what's next for Sarah. So yeah, thanks for being here, and
thank
Sarah,
you for being here. We can't wait for you guys to see. Seriously, Jordan's the best.
Nah, thanks. Sarah's the best. All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.